The 1942 Liberty Wheat Penny, also known as the 1942 Lincoln Cent, is one of the most iconic coins minted in the United States during World War II. This small copper coin carries with it not only monetary value but also a reflection of a pivotal era in American and global history. Let's journey through its detailed and real historical background, exploring its design, mintage, wartime significance, errors, and collector value. In 1942, the world was engulfed in the turmoil of World War II. The United States had officially entered the war in December 1941, following the attack on Pearl Harbor. The war effort demanded massive amounts of resources, including metals, labor, and manufacturing capacity. While copper was essential for ammunition and communications equipment, the U.S. Mint continued to produce pennies using copper alloys. In 1942, before transitioning to alternatives in later years, the obverse front of the 1942 penny features the enduring image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. In 1909, to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, the design was revolutionary, marking the first time a real person appeared on regular issue U.S. coinage. Above Lincoln's head appears the word Liberty to the left, and the motto "In God We Trust" arcs along the top. The date 1942 is placed to the right of Lincoln's profile. The reverse side shows two stylized wheat stalks curving along the sides, which is why this coin is commonly called the wheat penny, or wheat cent. Between the ears is the denomination, 1 cent, and below that United States of America, the motto E pluribus unum. Out of many, one is placed above, considered common, though some are more collectible depending on condition and rarity. While 1942, pennies were still made from copper, the pressure of war production led to government experimentation with alternative materials. In late 1942, the U.S. Mint began tests on different alloys for the 1943 coin. This makes the 1942 coin historically significant. It was the final copper alloy penny before the war required drastic changes to U.S. coinage. Although the 1942 penny is not rare, its value can range depending on condition and errors, error varieties, and rarities. Collectors also seek error coins, which can fetch higher values. Some known errors for the 1942 penny include 1942. The Philadelphia Mint also produced 21,120 proof Lincoln cents, primarily for collectors. These coins feature sharper detail, mirror-like fields, and are highly prized. Today, a proof 1942 penny in excellent condition can be worth $200 or more. The 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds numismatic and historical value, representing a turning point in U.S. minting and wartime adaptation. It serves as a bridge between peacetime minting and the dramatic material changes of 1943. The U.S. Mint replaced copper alloy cents with steel cents in 1943, resulting in a dramatic color and composition change. Because of this, the 1942 penny, the year 1942, marked a major economic transition in the United States. With the country now fully engaged in World War II, industries shifted rapidly from peacetime production to military manufacturing. The economy was transformed overnight into what is now known as the arsenal of democracy. Copper, the primary material in pennies, became essential for bullets, shell casings, communication wires, and military machinery. The U.S. Mint was faced with growing pressure to conserve copper, and while 1942 pennies were still made of the usual copper alloy, they would be the last of their kind before the emergency material change in 1943. This makes 1942 a historically significant pivot year for coinage. 1942 cents were struck in copper. Behind the scenes, the U.S. Mint began testing alternative materials in late 1942. These experiments were initiated under the War Production Board's direction. Materials tested included. Ultimately, the Mint chose zinc-coated steel, which debuted in 1943, but the groundwork was laid during 1942, which means this penny belongs to the last generation of traditional copper wheat cents before the temporary wartime disruption. 1942 was the beginning of public awareness campaigns that encouraged Americans to donate coins and save metal for the war effort. Posters and school programs urged citizens to turn in copper pennies or buy war bonds with their spare change. Were commonly heard as the government sought to make even the smallest contribution feel patriotic. In 1942, a single cent still had real purchasing power. With 1 penny, Americans could buy a stick of chewing gum, use a public payphone, buy a newspaper, get a candy bar. The 1942 penny circulated widely in stores, newsstands, and soda fountains across the country. It was truly part of daily American life. The Philadelphia Mint handled the bulk of 1942 Lincoln penny production. Without a mint mark, these coins represented the primary cent supply for much of the eastern United States. Because the country was gearing up for war, the mint ensured high-volume production to meet coinage demands, especially for vending machines, postal systems, and local commerce. This is why the Philadelphia 1942 cents are the most common today. With many American men joining the military, the workforce at the U.S. Mint also changed. More women were hired to help operate the coin presses, sort coins, and handle packaging. These changes were part of a broader social transformation as women took on industrial jobs. During the war, the 1942 wheat penny, therefore, was likely minted, packaged, and circulated with the help of the Rosie, the Riveter generation. Abraham Lincoln's image had always symbolized unity and freedom, but during wartime, his face on the penny took on even more emotional meaning. His presence on the most common coin reminded citizens of America's core values: liberty, justice, and perseverance. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.